Standing in front of the home of Philip Melanchthon. Philip Melanchthon was essentially the writer of the Reformation. You can think of Martin Luther as the guy who was making big pronouncements, and the PR guy, the publicist. And Philip Melanchthon was the one who actually wrote the things down, put them into understandable language, and wrote the Augsburg Confession. Philip Melanchthon is a big character in the history of the Reformation.
As you can see, we're standing in front of the tree where Martin Luther, a former monk, was married to Catherine von Bora, a former nun. At the wedding of a monk and a nun, this tree marks the very spot.
So here in the town of Wittenberg, and in fact all over Germany, you can see a lot of paintings and portraits that have been done by Lucas Cranach the Elder. Lucas Cranach's son, Lucas Cranach the Younger, was also a painter. Many of his paintings are in churches and in museums all around Germany. So if you're here, look for the Lucas Cranach paintings. It's worth your time. I'm sitting here with Lucas Cranach, as you can see. The two of us are looking at our electronic devices, trying to figure out how we'll spend our day together. Lucas and I go way back.
So this is Katharina von Bora, Katie, Martin's beloved wife, Katie. She lived here in this house and of course took care of the house. As we know, she brewed beer, which is a way to purify the water, but also a way to bring a certain amount of levity to the daily experiences. Well, she's wearing a gold ring here. When royalty came from Denmark and gave Catherine this ring, Martin took notice, thought, who's given this nun a ring? Well, soon Martin and Katie were married. You might know that she lived in a monastery for a long time until on the fateful day when 9 nuns in Harringtons were able to escape on an ox cart. They came here to Wittenberg. 8 of them were married and 1 remained unmarried. There she is, until she married the great reformer Martin Luther. So this is Katie.
So I'm here at the Wartburg Castle. The thing about the Wartburg Castle, like any castle, is it's built up on a hill. So it's defensible. And so it's on a hill. And if you come here, remember it's on a hill.
Hey, we're here in Wittenberg, Germany at the entrance to the Leukeria, the University of Wittenberg. This is where Martin Luther was called to be a teacher of moral philosophy. He came here to Wittenberg to teach at this university, and I think you know the rest of the story.
And this is Lucas Cranach's studio.
Save me, St. Anne! This is St. Mary's Church here in Wittenberg, Germany, the town church, the people's church. Martin Luther preached more than 1,000 sermons in this church. The pastor was Johannes Bugenhagen. On the altar, there's a triptych painted by the painter Lucas Cranach. And in that painting, we see Bugenhagen, we see Luther, we see Cranach, we see Philip Melanchthon, all doing the work of the church. And engaged in the picture, they're painted with Jesus. So it sort of shows that the very people who were members of the church and living in those days were connected to the work of God in Christ.
Standing in front of the home of Martin Luther and Katie, his wife. They lived in this house. It used to be a monastery. And then after it was closed, Frederick the Wise gave it to Martin and Katie as a wedding gift. Boy, sure beats a Cuisinart, doesn't it?
So in December 1521, Martin Luther came down here to the edge of town. You can see Martin Luther had to dodge quite a lot of traffic. He had to get through the traffic circle to get here to the edge of town. This is the east side, just on the outside of the town wall of Wittenberg. In this place, the town burned their garbage. So Martin Luther came out here, near this famous oak tree, and he burned the papal bull, the proclamation that threatened Luther with excommunication. And Martin Luther burned the papal bull, and this set in motion events from which there would be no return.
So Martin Luther came to Wartburg Castle. Actually, was brought to Wartburg Castle, not by his own choice. He was kidnapped, although it turned out kidnapped wasn't really what happened. So he came to Wartburg Castle to hide out. He was mainly hiding out from the tourists. But while he was here, he was trying to stay warm and decided one way to stay warm would be to keep himself busy. So he started translating the scriptures from Latin into German. Well, actually from Hebrew and Greek into German, but into German. The idea, or the thinking was that back then, nobody could read Latin, or actually nobody can read Latin now either, but back then, the people they weren't able to read the Bible themselves because it was only in Latin. And that meant that it always had to be interpreted for them, they would have to be told what the Bible said. By translating the Bible into German, Martin Luther allowed people to have access to the Bible themselves. And so it was really a good way to spend the time hiding from the tourists and anyone else who was trying to find him.
It was here on the side door of All Saints Church where Martin Luther in 1517 engraved in bronze these 95 Theses. Of course, he did this on October 31st because it was Reformation Day.